Welcome to All Must See. Today, we're diving into a movie you absolutely cannot miss. Movie name is Send Help. When a toxic, arrogant boss and his underestimated employees survive a horrific plane crash, the workplace power dynamic flips in the most brutally hilarious way imaginable. At the start of the movie, we meet Liddle, a socially awkward and mousy corporate strategist working for a massive consulting firm. Despite her nerdy demeanor, she is highly intelligent, exacting in her work, and the undisputed backbone of the company. Linda has spent her entire work life being treated like she is invisible, but she holds on to one hope. The CEO promised her a promotion to vice president. The tension quickly rises as the CEO unexpectedly passes away, leaving the entire company to his son, Bradley Preston. Bradley is the ultimate entitled nepo baby. He exudes white frat boy privilege, carrying a toxic, misogynistic energy that makes him universally insufferable but incredibly powerful. Linda is stunned to realize that Bradley has zero respect for her skills. Instead of honoring his late father's promise, he hands the VP promotion to his smarmy college buddy, Donovan. Meanwhile, Bradley secretly plans to exploit Linda's talents by transferring her to a go-nowhere position at a distant satellite office so he doesn't have to look at her. Soon after, when Linda protests his decision, Bradley half-heartedly invites her to accompany his team on an overseas business trip to Bangkok on the company's private jet. He claims it's a chance to prove herself, but in reality, he just needs her to handle some complex documents before shipping her off permanently. Without hesitation, Linda agrees, desperately hoping to save her career. Fast forward to the flight, where Bradley and his crew of workplace bullies obnoxiously live it up, ignoring Linda completely. But the flight takes a terrifying turn when the jet flies directly into a severe, nightmarish storm. The turbulence becomes catastrophic. The engines fail, and the plane is violently torn to pieces, plunging into the ocean and resulting in the gruesome deaths of everyone on board, except for two people. Linda miraculously survives, washing ashore on a remote, deserted island somewhere in the Gulf of Thailand. As she gets her bearings, she frantically searches the wreckage. She spots someone face down on the beach, flips him over, and is flooded with utter disappointment, muttering to herself, "Damn, it had to be Bradley. He is severely injured and completely unconscious." However, Linda holds a massive secret. Behind closed doors, she is a hardcore survival enthusiast, an avid watcher of the show Survivor, and even submitted her own audition tape. Abandoning her mousy worker bee persona, she enthusiastically puts her knowledge to work. She quickly builds a shelter, creates a system to catch rainwater, and cooks fish over a fire, carefully tending to her comatose boss. Later, after a day and a half, Bradley finally wakes up. Instead of showing an ounce of gratitude for Linda saving his life, he wastes no time, throwing her a cursory thanks before immediately reverting to his arrogant self. He belittles her makeshift camp, yells at her to do something about their situation, and asserts himself as her boss, demanding she figure out how to get him off the island. He has no idea that the workplace rules no longer apply, and he is now entirely at the mercy of the woman he humiliated. As the days turn into weeks, Linda completely transforms, shedding her mousy corporate persona. Her skin begins to glow in the sunlight, and she starts to fully appreciate her own natural beauty. She thrives in the wild, enthusiastically catching her own food and even hunting down a wild boar, emerging from the brush drenched in blood but absolutely loving it. Bradley, on the other hand, is completely useless. Nursing a massive gruesome gash on his leg from the crash, he refuses to work. Instead, he continues to act like an entitled CEO, barking orders from the sand and demanding that Linda build a distress signal. But Linda is stunned to realize a glorious truth. There are no HR departments or workplace rules out here. She holds all the power. She begins to use her control over the food, water, and shelter to assert dominance, effectively treating her arrogant boss like a helpless hostage. The tension quickly rises one night when the two get drunk on fermented island fruit. In a moment of twisted bonding, Linda reveals a dark secret about her past. She confesses that her former husband was an abusive alcoholic who died in a fatal car crash, a crash she deliberately caused by handing him his keys and pouring him one last drink when she finally snapped. Bradley is absolutely horrified. He suddenly realizes he isn't just stranded with his nerdy assistant. He is trapped with a dangerous, calculating woman who has absolutely no desire to be rescued. The island is her new kingdom, and she is the undisputed boss. Desperate to escape his keeper's clutches, Bradley decides to take matters into his own hands. Later, he pretends to be sympathetic and cooks Linda a seemingly nice dinner. However, he secretly laces her meal with poisonous berries that Linda had previously warned him about. His plan is to incapacitate her so he can escape. Linda eats the food and quickly falls violently ill, but because Bradley is an incompetent nepo baby, he completely misjudges the dosage, and the poison fails to kill her. Meanwhile, Bradley attempts to flee the island on a pathetic makeshift raft he secretly built, but the moment moment he hits the surf, the violent ocean waves instantly destroy the raft and he begins to drown. Linda, despite suffering from severe gastrointestinal distress, wades into the ocean and drags him out. In a hilariously grotesque display of dominance, she performs mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on him, violently vomiting yellow bile all over his face while simultaneously saving his life. Soon after, Linda decides it is time to teach Bradley a permanent lesson about who is really in charge. She manages to paralyze him using a potent octopus toxin she harvested from the reef. While Bradley is completely immobilized and terrified out of his mind, Linda stands over him with a knife and performs a terrifyingly realistic mock castration. She sadistically writes him up like a disobedient employee, effectively breaking his spirit and reducing the once powerful CEO to her completely obedient pet. Soon after their twisted new power dynamic is established, their isolation is suddenly interrupted. A rescue boat arrives on the island carrying Bradley's fiancée, Zuri, and a local Thai boat captain who have been desperately searching for survivors. But Linda is stunned to realize what this means. Returning to civilization means giving up her absolute power and reverting to her invisible, pathetic existence where Bradley gets to ruin her life. Without hesitation, she makes a sinister, cold-blooded choice. Pretending to be a helpful survivor, Linda offers to guide Zuri and the captain to Bradley, deliberately leading them along the edge of a dangerously unstable, rocky cliff. When Zuri slips and dangles over the edge, the captain scrambles to pull her up. Seeing her chance to permanently eliminate her ticket home, Linda picks up a heavy rock and ruthlessly bashes the captain in the back of the head, sending both him and Zuri plummeting to their deaths on the jagged rocks below. Linda returns to the camp, acting withdrawn, pretending nobody ever came. Meanwhile, Bradley, growing frustrated with her strange behavior, goes out to the beach to hunt for himself. The tension quickly rises when he spots a human arm sticking out of the sand. He brushes away the dirt and is horrified to recognize a massive diamond engagement ring. It's Zuri's hand. Bradley suddenly realizes he isn't just dealing with an angry employee. He is trapped with a stone-cold killer. Armed with Linda's survival knife, Bradley confronts her about the brutal murders. A vicious, bloody brawl erupts in the middle of the jungle. It is a savage fight for dominance. Linda is partially scalped and has her eye nearly gouged out, but the resilient underdog ultimately manages to plunge the blade deep into Bradley's side. Bleeding and terrified, Bradley flees into the dense jungle, desperately stumbling into the one side of the island Linda had explicitly forbidden him to explore, under the guise of it being filled with poisonous plants. He pushes through the brush and is stunned to realize the ultimate jaw-dropping twist. Sitting right there on the hidden coast is a massive, fully stocked luxury mansion. Linda had known about this wealthy homeowner's vacation house the entire time. She had been secretly sneaking over to use its pristine kitchen, stealing supplies, and living in absolute comfort while sadistically watching her arrogant boss suffer in the dirt. They could have radioed for help on day one, but she used her hidden genius to stay in power. Bradley locks himself inside the mansion, but Linda tracks his every move through the security cameras, taunting him over the intercom. When she finally breaches the room and corners him, Bradley desperately begs for his life. He falsely confesses his love, promising that they can just stay on the island together forever if she spares him. Distracted, Bradley makes a desperate lunge for a nearby shotgun, aiming it right at her chest. He pulls the trigger, but it just clicks. The gun is completely unloaded. Realizing he has been entirely outsmarted, the entitled CEO can only scream as Linda grabs a golf club and brutally beats him to death, permanently putting him in his place. Fast forward to 1 year later. We see Linda back in civilization, fully healed and looking impossibly glamorous. She didn't just escape. She spun an incredible, heroic tale to the media, positioning herself as a brave corporate woman who survived against all odds, tragically mourning the loss of her boss. The world ate it up. Hailed as a badass survivalist, Linda has written a best-selling self-help book famous for telling readers, no help is coming, so you better save yourself. She leveraged her newfound fame to finally claim the massive VP CEO promotion she was always owed, completely seizing Bradley's wealth, his status, and his power. In the final shot of the movie, Linda smiles triumphantly behind the wheel of a luxury car, her pet bird riding shotgun, as she drives off into the sunset. The underestimated underdog didn't just beat the arrogant boss, she completely destroyed him and became the exact privileged monster she once despised. Thanks for tuning into All Must See. If you loved this wild tale of survival and revenge, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.